Hello everyone, it's Carol Garrison with Carol's Creative Escape, and today is Monday, July 4th. I kind of debated going live tonight, but I thought maybe I might catch a few people here in between picnics and fireworks tonight. So I went ahead and created a card and just decided that it was time for me to go live this week, and we'll just see what happens. And if you aren't able to watch it tonight, sorry to keep moving back and forth on you like this. I'm just trying to make sure I'm live in my Facebook page here too, so I know I'm in the right group. Anyhow, if you can't catch it live tonight, that's fine. You can always watch it on replay too. Whatever you're doing with friends and family, I hope you're having a good time. Kind of had a quiet 4th of July weekend. I'm one of those people that always went to a cabin for the 4th of July, and I haven't had that. Hey April, how are you tonight? Haven't had that ability to go to a cabin for a few years now, and just very different 4th of Julys from what I'm used to for many, many, many years. But Saturday we met with some of my family up at a park north of us, and just had a great picnic and a fun time with family on Saturday, and also got to stop in and see John's mom and brother as well on Saturday, so that was nice to be able to do that. And then we just got some things done around the house, so not a terribly exciting weekend, but hey, it's a weekend, and we, like I said, got some things done that we needed to do. So tonight I am going to share with you something out of the brand new mini catalog. This is just a really fun stamp set. I actually don't know if I would have ordered this one, except it was part of a class that I took, and I'm so glad that I signed up for it because I really do like what I see in this set, and I think there's going to be some fun cards that you're able to make with it. And I will tell you that the Designer Series paper is gorgeous. It's a foil paper, so there's lots and lots of I guess shiny stuff associated with this. So let me just quick flip my camera around, and tonight you'll get to see my clean desktop because I did spend some time yesterday cleaning up my work area too. So let me just flip the camera around, and I will get jumped right in on the card and what I want to show you. Okay, and I just got to make sure now that I'm centered and know where my work area is as I go through here. Okay, so like I said, this new catalog is out and ready for orders to be placed. And if you haven't received it yet, please let me know. There's some gorgeous stuff in here. Up until now, I've only been able to show you the cover, and I'm really excited to be able to go into the inside of the catalog now and show you what you can find, at least for one of the stamp sets in here tonight. And we are actually going to be using this Splendid Day suite of products. Let me try to get it more on the camera here. These are just some samples that Stampin' Up has put together and included in the catalog. And this one is just half circles, but I think it's so pretty. I'm going to try to make that one and have it posted as a sample. I chose not to do it tonight because I knew I could show it to you in the catalog here, but I think that's really pretty. So let me show you what can be found in the suite. It's on page 65 of the mini catalog, and it includes the Splendid Thoughts stamp set, which is a 9-piece stamp set, and this is actually designed by one of the $1 million sellers in Stampin' Up. The designer's name is Mary Amar, not sure if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly, but just a lovely combination of greens, leafy images. It's got some great sentiments in here. Again, that cursive and a typed font, and a cute little bumblebee as well. And this bee can be found kind of hidden in some of the designer paper as well. This is a photopolymer stamp set, so it's going to be your orange stamp with the rubber back. And then it also includes the Splendid Stems dies. And so these cover many of the stamped images as well. It works with, I'll make sure I'm on camera here, this one, and then creates just some very nice skeleton type, not skeleton in the terms of human body, but skeleton type dies, outlines. I'll show you what I mean when we start working on our card. It's one of those that's very pretty in the simplicity of what it has to offer. And this die is the half circle. And like I said, it can create half circles that you can move in together to make full circles, or it can be a bowl that some of these greens can sit in. It also includes these open leaf trinkets. And you get, how many of these do you get? 20 of them. And they're kind of actually a lot bigger than what I thought. They are true to size with what's in the catalog here, but they're going to be easy to adhere to your cards as well with just a little bit of liquid glue. And they're kind of a goldish toned trinket. I am not using any of these tonight, but I did want to make sure that you could see what they look like. And then the suite also comes with this seam binding ribbon, and it's in seafoam, the soft seafoam color. And that's not one that we see a whole lot of. I don't use it a lot, and I need to remember to do that because it is a very pretty soft pastel color. But like I said, this is that 1/2 inch seam binding tape. Very easy to tie bows with and get a decent looking bow. It's a little stiff, but those tend to hold your bow a little bit better, I think. So anyhow, there you go with that. And then last but not least, it comes with Designer Series paper. And like I said, one side of this paper is all foil, and then the other side is just a pattern. And the colors in the paper include Petal Pink, Soft Seafoam, Pool Party, Fresh Freesia, Sahara Sand, and Copper as your colors. And it's just, it's so pretty. If you don't get anything else, get this paper. So let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to set my catalog aside. I've already used part of one sheet, so this would be a copper. This is one of those where you can cut it in half and have a nice full pattern on your cards. And then the back side of it is just a kind of the Petal Pink coloring in its pattern. And then we've got this one, which this would be your soft seafoam. And here's that cute little bee. And again, you can cut this one in half and make your cards with it, but make sure you don't cut out that little bee. I think you're going to want that as an accent in your cards that you design. And the back side of this is just a soft seafoam. It's just a very subtle leaf pattern. Bring it up, maybe the camera can catch it a little better. Okay, and then we have a copper sheet of the paper, and all of this is essentially white embossing kind of raised texture. This one could have a little bit of copper, but I think it's all pretty much white and just picking up some of the copper coloring. It's kind of an all over pattern. Ooh, I get it too close to the camera and it almost starts to look black. And then on the back side we've got this darker color, and I want to say I don't have all my colors memorized yet in this catalog, and now I can't remember what I just told you the colors were. I know, short-term memory. Just a second and I will be able to tell you that. Page 65 in the catalog. Remember that. Alright, so it's Petal Pink is actually the color. Just a darker version of the Petal Pink. And then here we have a piece of the foil that is Pool Party, and this is what we're actually going to use tonight. This tends to look a little more green than the Pool Party, but I think when you get it up next to the Pool Party paper, you're going to see that it does definitely show up. And one of the things kind of hidden in this paper is this little ladybug. So keep an eye out for that too when you're cutting. Maybe I have it upside down here. When you're cutting this paper, make sure you don't cut out the cute little ladybug. And on the back side of this is just kind of a dot water paint color in the Pool Party as well, all over pattern. And then we've got a piece of silver with the white. I think this is really stunning too. Today I'm actually making wedding cards, but I am not doing it with silver because that's kind of a typical wedding color. This actually, to me, looks silver, but it is actually Sahara sand. Again, I think it's going to depend on what color you put next to it that'll determine it, but that would be Sahara sand beneath it. And you can kind of see when I flip it over far more the Sahara sand on the back side. This is just kind of an all over, sort of looks like burlap, but with faded spots in it. Okay. I think you could use that other piece of silver and get away with it. That's my opinion. And then we've got this piece in fresh freesia. And this is very pretty. I'm sorry, my overhead lights are reflecting off of this pretty foil. But this is the fresh freesia, again with just the white embossing. And then on the back, there's kind of an all over pattern in the fresh freesia. So very, very pretty paper. This is one that I had to force myself to cut because I think it is so pretty. So don't be afraid to do that, please, because you want to use that. And then I just want to remind you too that celebration has started, and this goes from July 1st through August 31st. And so inside are free items that you can get when you have a $50 order. These hippos are really cute. You're going to see these come into play again. If you like this wood die that's in the annual catalog, they've got some very cute paper to go with that. Some lovely note cards. Actually, these are cards, not note cards. And then some more of that white paper with foil on it, so you can use your blending brushes and create your own colored paper. I'm excited to try that. And then this technique is actually using some of the stripes over here, and then they've just drawn in lines, so you can change it from stripes to a plaid by randomly drawing in your lines on that, just so that you know. And then here's another set. This die set actually goes with one of the sets in the annual catalog. So you could get this free and purchase this die set from the annual, or purchase a stamp set from the annual catalog. And I think you could have a lot of fun with that. And then this is the suite of products, or the bundle of products that I demonstrated in my card last week. Those are also in celebration. So if you don't have this yet, make sure you check it out. Because there are some beautiful free items that you can earn in that catalog as well. Let's go ahead and get started with the card. I'm doing kind of a monochromatic theme. And so I've got, and I just noticed this is a little crooked on here, but we're going to make it work. I'm doing Pool Party. This is the first card that I made to demonstrate this set for you. And it's got the foil on the front side, and then I just used the back of the foil, this foil paper, to create my bowl. And I did use blends to color in the leaves and a few pearls to enhance the card. This is all, everything in here is Pool Party. I did add, because of course just the shine on the foil paper wasn't quite enough, I did go ahead and add some Wink of Stella to the images on the front here as well, just to add a little sparkle, and then just some pearls. And then on the inside, I stamped one of the images using Pool Party, and then I did use the gray granite for my image, Much Love in Your New Life Together, and the Let's Celebrate on the front. So that is the card that we're going to make. And I also wanted to share with you, look at, I made another fancy envelope. I've told you guys in my last few videos that one of the things I really want to do is make sure that I am using all of my Designer Series paper. And one easy way to do that, especially with small scraps, is to do the flap of your envelope as well. So now I've got a custom-made envelope to go with my card, and I'm going to show you how to do that again tonight as well. Hey Pam, thanks for joining in. So let's go ahead and get started. Tonight I am focusing on the Fresh Freesia color. Going to be very similar card, but I'm just focusing on the Fresh Freesia. So your base of your card is 5.5 by 8.5. Sorry, I dropped one of my images that I need. 5.5 by 8.5 on the card, and you scored at 4 1/4. And then you'll also need a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 for the inside of your card, and then a piece of the Designer Series paper that also measures 4 by 5 1/4. And then you'll need a little piece to die cut out the bowl. And then you also are going to need some of your scraps of basic white, and that's all I use. I've got a shoebox bin full of basic white, and so I die cut out, I stamped and die cut out 3 of these. I went ahead and colored 2, but I'm going to do one of those tonight. And then I die cut out of the Fresh Freesia several of the die cut pieces. So when I said it was kind of like a skeleton, I'll show you what I mean. I've already got glue dots on the back of these, so that's what's sticking out. But that's what I mean by skeleton. Outline? Maybe that's a better word. Hi Pam, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate that. Hope you're having a good 4th of July weekend. So anyhow, that is kind of the die cutting that I've done. Now, I happen to not have a blend pen in the Fresh Freesia color, and so I did stamp this in the gray granite, and I am just using my Fresh Freesia ink pad with my watercolor. I cheat a little bit when I do this, and I make sure that this ink is good and dry before I start watercoloring. That tends to eliminate some of the smearing that might occur, but just beware, especially if you have a lot of water on your brush or the ink isn't totally dry, you may get a little bit of smearing because it's water-based. And so that always opens the door up for just a little bit. But to color these, I just got some ink in the lid of my ink pad, and I did that just by squeezing it. And I squirted squeezed a little bit of water out of my paintbrush to moisten up that ink. And the closer you are to where the ink is the thickest, kind of at this end, the darker your ink is going to be. As you pull it out on the tray this way, it's going to become a little bit lighter. This is not a terribly dark color to start with, so I'm not super concerned about it getting too dark on me. And you may find as you're coloring it that you've got to add just a little bit more water to your tray. Just remember, less is more, so be careful about doing that, and then make sure that you kind of spread it out into the ink so that you're not getting a super wet amount of ink onto your cardstock. And again, that's primarily to keep the gray granite ink from getting too wet and smearing on us. That's kind of the only reason for that. And then I just got a piece of scratch pad, and I like to always, when I'm done adding ink to one of my water painters, I just squeeze water out and brush it back and forth until it's coming out clear. That way it's ready for me the next time. But the other thing that I will do too is always test it to make sure that it's clean before I start stamping, because otherwise, you know, you're going to inevitably end up with it being the wrong color. And then I'm going to follow up just with some Wink of Stella over the top of each of these leaves. And again, I will never squeeze Wink of Stella over one of my stamped images. And the reason for that is that sometimes they'll kind of blurp out in a big blob, and you will have more glitter than a Girl Scout troop can dig out working on a craft project. So just keep that in mind as well. Always do it over a piece of scratch paper. That way you don't ruin what you're working on. But that's just a little bit of the Wink of Stella to add some sparkle to these images. I'm going to set that aside and let it dry. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp the inside image of my card. And I am going to just do it on a piece of scrap paper. And the reason for that is I am planning to stamp off the side of this a little bit. And so I want to just make sure that I have everything protected on my work surface. Okay. So, like I said, I just inked this up in the Fresh Freesia and I'm stamping it off on one side of the inside of my cardstock. That's all there is to it. Nothing super fancy. And then I'll pull my scratch paper out of the way. And the other thing I'm going to do right away is clean off my stamp using my chamois, because if I don't, I will set something down on it. It's kind of lucky because I caught some of the edges on this stamp and I managed not to get it on my cardstock. That's a win. Okay. Then the next thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and stamp my greeting on the inside. And I toyed with where to do this, and I decided I really did like it down on the bottom centered, because that left me some room to write a note to the new couple. You are welcome to put it wherever you want, but I kind of liked it down here, like that. And then the other thing I'm going to do is go ahead and stamp my sentiment on this bowl. Now, I'm going to warn you that you want to make sure you're doing this before you apply this to the front of the card. I did not, and so I was lucky. I was able to peel it off on my other card. I had it up on dimensionals, but you really can't stamp well on dimensionals, so it's just a good practice to stamp it before you add it to your card. And I'm using a slightly different sentiment. My first one was just let's celebrate, and on the front of this card I'm using today is a day to remember, and then with love in your new life together. Okay, so that takes care of all the stamping that I need to do, but let me clean off these two. That way I don't have to worry about whether or not I set my stuff on top of it. Okay, and now we can start to assemble. So the first thing we're going to do is fold our card base on the score line. And again, this is just 5.5 by 8.5 with a score line at 4 1/4. And we're going to put this piece on the inside of the card. So I'm taking my seal. Remember, light touch and a quick check mark type removal, and then it doesn't glob up on you. Okay, so the inside of my card is done. And now we can move to the outside. And you just want to make sure that if there's a direction to your paper, it's going the right way. This one is kind of going to be the same either direction, so that doesn't matter so much. And again, I'll put my seal on this. And because I'm putting it in the front, I'm just going to put a little bit more on than what I would normally do. And you want to center this. Oh, looks like I've frozen up a little bit. Can you guys see me live? There we go. I seem to be catching up. So I've got that on the front. And then for these pieces, I am using dimensionals. One of the things that I do, because I don't like to waste anything, I kind of make my own dimensionals when I get to the end of a piece, and I just put slits all the way through. So I've got funny shaped dimensionals, but I'm using 100% of my dimensional sheets. So if you aren't already doing that, make sure that you do add that to your repertoire of what you're doing, because you don't want to waste any. And guys, I made a mistake, and I'm going to see if I can get this off to correct my mistake. And if not, we're just going to make it work, but I think I can lift it. I've been pretty lucky the last couple times I've had to do this. All right, I forgot to add my ribbon, and I'm using 8 inches, and this is the Fresh Freesia Open Weave ribbon. This was in the catalog last year and did carry over into our new catalog. And I'm just wrapping it around this layer just to add a little dimension to it. And now I'm going to add, this is still pretty sticky, but I want to make sure, especially in my corners, that I've got good adhesive since I peeled it up. So let me redo that. Now you can center it on this part of your cardstock, complete with ribbon. I lucked out on that one. Otherwise, I was just going to change how I was embellishing it. I'd figure something else out, but I was glad that I could get it up. So anyhow, I've got dimensionals on these 3 pieces. And then I am going to run some of my seal on the back of the bowl, or half circle, whatever you want to call it, because that's going to allow me to adhere these pieces. And pretty much I'm going to put kind of one in the center, and then I've got one that'll go off to the side, and the third one I'm also going to send off to the side just a little bit, because I do want my other things to show through. And then to adhere this, I'm also going to use dimensionals again. I don't normally use this many dimensionals on one thing. And that's because I want this all to show up. Now that's going to sit kind of like this, and so what I'm going to do is take these pieces and I'm going to adhere these to the back, kind of behind this, and then I'll set this pot on top of it. And so what I've done to adhere these is I've just taken a couple of glue dots. I could have run these through my cut and emboss machine using the adhesive sheets, but I kind of wanted these loose and floating a little bit. So I've just added glue dots to the back. These glue dots happen to be some leftovers from my paper pumpkin kits, and that's why I can do that. I like to pre-do some of this stuff before I do videos, and these allow me to do that because it's still got the waxy piece on the back side. So if they hang out just a little bit, I tuck them in. These pieces, that is not going to be a problem. Like I said, I'm just doing a little bit of coloring with them, and then what I'm going to do is start peeling off all of my dimensional backs. I have 12 on this piece. I think that's a record for me. My fingernails are sticking to them too. Yikes. Okay, I think I got them all. Yep. So now I'm going to put this one on, and I'm going to kind of place it so that I'm sure that the pieces I just added show up, but also so that this piece is fairly centered on my card. Okay. And then I'm going to take these little pieces, and this is where I've got to kind of fold that glue dot to fit the stem width. It's not really going to show because it's going to be tucked in under the flowers here, but just to be on the safe side, So I'm going to slide it in here and just tuck it down. And then I'll do the same thing with the one I cut out of the Fresh Freesia. I really like this tiny die cut. It's got so much detail to it, and it adds a lot of pop to your cards. And then we'll just kind of slide this one in. As long as it's not hanging off the edge of my card, I'm good with wherever it goes. Okay, there we go. So that finishes up the card design itself. Now the other piece that I want to show you is the envelope, because we are going to make one for this card too. This piece of Designer Series paper, it measures 2.5 by 6 inches, and I use the liquid glue to adhere it to the flap, and I like to give it time to dry, just so it's not moving around on me. That's the only reason I've done that. And so this has already been sitting here drying, especially with the foil paper. I didn't want to take a chance. Any blurped out over the edges. I got it on my finger, and then I ended up getting it on the flap. You know how that works. And then I've left just a little bit over the edge of the paper, and you're just going to take your paper snips and follow the curve of the flap. It's all that simple. And this is all part of my quest to use, not just buy my designer's paper and use a little bit of it, but to actually use up all of my Designer Series paper by the end of a catalog period. And so now I've just cut that edge off. You can't tell looking at it on this side, but when you close your flap, there you go, you've got a fancy card. So here we go with this card using Fresh Freesia with the inside and our pretty envelope. And then we've also got the same card layout, slightly different greeting on the front, using Pool Party. So really simple card to make. Oh, but you know what I didn't do? And I was so excited because I was going through, I did some cleaning. All right, I gotta pull this back out. I did some cleaning, pulling out retired items and things like that. And came across my pastel pearls, which are in the new catalog. So we are going to use some of these to decorate the front of our card. So you can tell there's several different colors. This one actually matches the best in terms of the purple tone. Whoops, go on there. But I'm going to throw in some of these silver ones as well. And maybe I'll even throw, nope, I'm going to stick with these two colors. And we'll just put one up here. That just adds a little bit of sparkle to the card, in addition to the foil and the Wink of Stella, because, you know, there wasn't enough already on here. There we go. Now our card is finished. So here is the version in Fresh Freesia, and here's the version in Pool Party. Let me know in the comments which color you like better. Whether it's the Pool Party or the Fresh Freesia. I'm curious to know which people like better. So that is my card design for tonight. I thank everybody for joining me on this 4th of July holiday, and I will see you guys all next week in my Facebook Live. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.